Yo, what's up, guys? LuhKey here, and today, I got a very strong urge to make this video. As you can tell by the title, I haven't really decided yet if I'm gonna title it "The Worst Movie Ever Made" or "Mr. K Movie Review." But it's basically boys and people and human beings. I watched this movie yesterday with my wife, and I usually just scroll around. I think we're on HBO Max, and then my wife talked to me, and I stopped at a certain movie, and it was Mr. K. So fate decided for me that I was gonna watch this horrendous movie. So when I read the description, as I usually do, it intrigued me. It said a magician, goes into a hotel and it's a labyrinth, and he tries to escape. Basically, I look at the Rotten Tomato scores, 74%, not bad. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be pretty good. It's a pretty good premise, you know. I missed a couple things. I missed the IMDb rating, which was I think 3.4 out of 10, and I also missed the genre, which was what's a house film, something like that. And if you don't know about that, or artistic film, something like that, if you don't know anything about that genre, it's basically, I googled it, of course. It's basically something, a film that doesn't follow Hollywood norms, and it's there's sometimes no plot. It's randomized. It doesn't hit beats the same as usual movies do. But with that being said, I'm just gonna put a clip. Go check out Film Decoded because that's the background I'm gonna use. So basically, you know, from everything that you think, it's got a good topic, good premise. It hooks you in. But I ended up watching this movie. I probably before I give any spoilers, I would give this movie maybe a 0.5 out of 10. It was entertaining. I had no idea what was going on. But usually, we were nearing to the end, and I was like, this movie better not have a fucking shitty ass ending, and hopefully it saves it because it has such a good rating from what I thought, from the Rotten Tomato scores, and yeah, I'll go usually, what I do in these reviews or videos. I'll go into a no spoiler review. Talk about a couple things that I dislike, basically dislike everything. I like the main character. The actor was really good. I do like a couple of things, a couple metaphors that they pulled through this, and I guess interpretations that I've found online. But besides that, it also just 180s everything it says. I feel like it's intentional, as meaning like there's no explanation for this movie. It doesn't say anything, it contradicts itself. The point of the ending is that it doesn't make fucking sense. That is the point. I try to find a good point, it's a good way to interpret it, but at the end of the day, I think that's what it means. The ending is absurd and it means nothing. And if they were going for that, perfect. If they weren't, wow, they should stop making movies. But besides that, we're gonna go into spoilers, and I'm gonna review the events and everything that I thought of going through this movie. And just big warning: I hate this movie with a passion. I've never watched a movie so bad. This is probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've watched so many movies, so many movies. This is probably the first time both me and my wife agreed this was a waste of 2 hours of our lives. And we've wasted a lot of time and a lot of dumb things and movies and shows and whatnot. But this literally had zero points. Like, it's so bad. It's not even good. It's just a puzzle that's so intricate that keeps moving and moving and moving, and it goes blue to white to red to. It just doesn't make any sense. So, with that being said, let's talk about it. So it starts off with, of course, I got bullet points. Mr. K, a traveling magician, arrives at a mysterious old hotel and spends a night there. It's pretty sketchy, as you can see in the movie. Um, I will give him a couple points for the atmosphere, how they built this place. It does really have nice shots, and kind of if it was, if it had any essence of a plot and life in here, and maybe like the director or the board or the writers weren't experimenting so much and messing around, this would actually be a good movie. So besides that, let's go to the next event. The next morning, he tries to leave but cannot find the exit despite repeatedly searching the hallways. This is something that I completely disagree with. The main character never, ever tried to leave. Until the very end, he was very desperate and wanted to leave. He's a magician, of course, and at the beginning, he does a show, no one's laughing or paying attention to him. Very good start. Um, he goes to this hotel. He has a gig in the morning. That's why he's in town. And he's about to miss it. So he's trying to run around, try to find the exit. But he really, really doesn't try. I mean, he just goes through a door, a hallway, door, sees random stuff like a band, like a marching band just playing, and like little kids that don't get brought up later at all. You see these little kids just running around everywhere, and at this point you're kind of thinking, oh, the world building is about to come. We're about to find out what this society is in here. It's probably all trapped people. No, no, man, it's not. I don't know what these people are doing here. They don't even know what's going on. I mean, I have some theories later that could soften this blow, but let's keep going. That's for later. He discovers that the hotel corridors seem to change, making escape possible. Mr. K meet. So before I go to the next bullet point, he does not figure out that the corridors change. They stay stagnant, and on his first day, he meets two ladies, and on the second day, or later that day, he runs into a kitchen, and basically he works there accidentally. And I do like this scene because basically, the it's kind of like a metaphor of the world that we live in, because there's a hierarchy in the kitchen. People are cooking, they're busy. He just stumbles in as a server, then gets put in the kitchen as a egg cracker. And before that, there's like two steps, and he starts messing around with the guys that are there, which only one of them is important, that he later becomes a little bit close to. But basically, that guy is like, oh, the chef's white daughter really likes you. That's why she pushed you up here so fast. Most people take 2 years to get here. You're very lucky, and you can see a little bit of envy. And then he explains the whole hierarchy of the kitchen. First you become uh, a I don't know. I don't really remember. A dishwasher, and then uh, chooser, and then uh, egg cracker, and then um, egg choosing the eggs, and then a I'm very stumbly here. Well, at the end you become a whisk. What's it called? It's just a whisker. Just kind of moving the eggs, and it's basically a metaphor of the hierarchies in real world. How we spend so much time in at our jobs to get promoted, which really don't mean anything. We dedicate our whole lives for it, and it was pretty good, but it 180'd itself by basically, not going into depth with that. And, the main character was very careless. And what I took from that is, whoa, I'm in a position where I am striving for something and I build a career. And whenever I see guys that come in and are planning to come out or are deciding to, do something else and just using this as a stepping stone, it kind of hurts my ego deep down, because I'm like, wow, that guy has got so much going for him, and he knows and planned out his whole life, and I'm stuck here. But as well, I'm building a career. But at that moment when You kind of read into the between the lines a little bit. You're like, is this gonna be the rest of my life? And that guy's probably gonna have a really nice life that I'm a little bit envious of. So I can kind of relate to the guy that's been there for a couple years, and by what I'm saying, it really doesn't make any sense. But that's what I took from that. And this is the kitchen, of course, as you can see. The one on the very far right, so that's gonna be the friend later on. I guess his name's Anton. Thank you, YouTuber. Make sure you guys go follow his channel and watch his video. But basically, what then later happens is he keeps drinking and he stays there for like a couple days. He gets a scare with like rebel people who are calling him a um, revolutionary or something like that, a prophet. And they scare him through a bathroom when he's drunk, throw their hands around, and all while this is happening, the main character is hearing the building just shriek and shriek and shriek. And then he becomes having he later ends up with a theory that the building is shrinking, and there's a scene where everyone's being loud, like the marching band, the cooks are all being loud, and also the two French ladies that he meets at the beginning start screaming, and it makes the building shrink, which has no correlation, which means nothing because at the end we discover something else. But basically, you don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to watch this movie. Please do not. I do not recommend this movie at all. Um, and I'm also giving a little bit of trauma healing for myself and people who watch this movie because I searched up endings explained and there was none. So I did discover a couple comments that I'll go into for philosophies to soften that blow again. Mr. K meets many stranger residents and workers who act as though they're living in the hotel forever is completely normal, and also the workers themselves do not, um, they do not seem to understand what's happening or the building shrinking, even though it's very evident, and they just kind of push over like weird sounds and stuff that's happening. Um, the main character, asks the friend, the cook friend that you guys saw, Anton, I guess. He asks him if he's ever been outside, and Anton replies with, "Yeah, I've been out like 3 times." And then Anton kind of sees from his body language and says, "You haven't been outside, huh?" And then Anton laughs it off and says, "No, I haven't been outside. I lied or whatever." And then which you can kind of pull from that is that Anton never even thought about going outside, so he nervously lied, which is a small thing that you can kind of pull from. Huge pulls from here. Um, this movie is supposed to be interpreted in whichever way the eye of the beholder sees it. It's kind of like watching paint at a art museum or something like that. I do like art, but I mean, when you put stuff into interpretation, it's just not good at all. Okay, he encounters unusual groups, including hotel staff, musicians, cooks, eccentric guests, each following bizarre routines. Like I explained, he repeatedly attempts to map the hotel and mark his path, but his plans are consistently disrupted. This is right after he leaves the chefs because he yells at the chef. He also bangs the chef's daughter because she grabs him, kind of, didn't look like he wanted to do that. The chef gets great respect for him and keeps pushing him, and Anton wants to leave. The chef starts crying and all that and begging him to stay. They later rival, and the majority of this film is probably in this kitchen. Right here, he's begging him and stuff. And everyone respects the chef, so they kind of see him as like a lucky person that just stumbled across while everyone else has to work. Um, so also the chef himself and him get in an argument because the main character is trying to tell everyone that the building is shrinking and giving them a warning and set up a emergency pack so they can all leave. But the chef's completely drops down and pulls the old man move where you fake a heart attack, and everyone kicks him out. Where were we at these bullet points? So then he starts mapping out the hotel. As he explores deeper, he uncovers hidden rooms, secret passages, and increasingly surreal parts of the hotel, which is just corridors, really. Some residents try to help him, while others discourage or actively prevent his escape. Um, so, these bullet points are from ChatGPT. So, this doesn't really happen. What happens is this guy follows him and he's part of the revolutionary, so, um, and this is why you should probably not use ChatGPT because it's incorrect like 70% of the time and facts and things. But basically, the revolutionary people, one of the guys follows him, and then he just goes back to his room where he has all his food, and or he keeps mapping, and all the revolutionary people just start huddling around him, kind of like a prophet, like he's, you know, um, this is the only comparison that I would have to our real world, and will be later brought on. Not to disdain or say anything bad about this, but kind of they see him as like a prophet, which would be like Jesus Christ if I would have to compare it to the real world. And they just start following him. They go to his room, they start eating everything. So then he settles them and is like, okay, you guys are gonna help me map out. Gives a chalk to everyone and paper, and he starts drawing on the wall so he can map out where he's going so they can all escape. He later, after they all leave, he later discovers that the wall has veins around it, and he pulls the wallpaper, touches it, it reacts a little bit, and then he slams it with like a dish tray that carries food, and when he hits it, it starts weeping, and the lady that kind of knows what's going on kind of looks like the front desk lady. She comes running looking for where it happened, and he leaves. When he goes back to the room, everyone's eating all his food, and he's all pissed, obviously. No one's done any work, obviously, and then they get mad at him, and they're like, "What are you? Have you found the exit yet?" And then he gets disdained, he gets mad, blah 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 blah. Just doesn't make any sense, let's be honest. The hotel begins to feel like a living organism rather than an ordinary building, which it is. Mr. K becomes trapped in a cycle of confusion, hope, frustration, and a re-escape attempt leads him deeper into the hotel. Eventually, he discovers a hidden chamber containing a strange sea creature-like being. Wow, these bullet points are horrible. Thank you, ChatGPT. I guess ChatGPT did not see this movie. But later, right before that, right, huge spoiler warning that ChatGPT gave us there. His followers turn against him because he hasn't found or moved forward with his path, and they start, because he kicks all of them out, they start throwing shoes through his window, and then as he tries to escape, he goes into a hallway, and the kitchen staff, they all have sticks, and they start chasing him, so he runs back to his room. He boards up the wall, the door, and the window, and then as he's hopelessly laying on his bed, he sees his lampshade untangle or moving, and then it untangles. He jumps up, it falls on the ground and breaks, and he sees up, it's two French ladies that are his only friends at this point, and they're trying to kind of compose him and direct him, kind of like they know what's going on. They're very ambiguous. They're French and they smoke and they say a lot of random stuff and they're crazy, you would say. But the one of them is like the mysterious one that keeps giving like hints. Is like, oh, it's almost like you've been looking at the wrong way. I mean, if you're trying to find the lobby, sometimes where you enter, you don't leave. And then he's like, oh, yeah, let me open the door. Oh, not there, kind of making fun of the situation. Opens the closet doors, he's like, oh, the exit's not there, maybe I overlooked something. And then he slams the closet, the wardrobe down, and then he sees a huge, like, veiny, like, hole on the wall. And they're like, oh dear, we've never seen that. And then he's like, well, you guys can come with me. We'll escape together. And they're like, no, we've never seen that. That could be safe, could be dangerous. But we're just gonna stick here, just comfortable, just knowing what they are and staying where they are. And then I could probably pull up a graphical picture for you guys to see what this looks like. It's actually pretty cool. Okay, so that's them in the hole, described perfectly by me. He slams it, and then he sees this huge portal. I know, it's pretty crazy. And that's where he finds what's going on. Okay, so then we go into deeper detail. He crawls in and it goes deeper, and he sees this giant glowing orb, like you saw, and it's an octopus elephant mix would be my best description. And it's just like in a huge egg, and he starts like connecting with it, just rubbing himself, and then they can kind of like read each other's minds, and he just says, "It hurts, it's in pain," and then at this point I'm like, I can't believe they're doing this. It better be a good ending because, I mean, the only good ending at this point is that it leaves. And then, okay, so the people push in. The front desk lady's running in too because she knows where it's at. And it's pretty cool that the exit was in his room. I'll give it that. But the kitchen staff, the prophets, beholders, they're yelling like, "He found the exit, the prophet found the exit." So they all start rushing in there. The front desk lady pulling people back. And it's like, "No, you're hurting it, you're hurting it." And the elephant thing is like, you're just squealing, and the main character's like, "No, get back, you're killing it, you're unaliving it." Sorry, monetization or copyright, I don't know. I don't make money off YouTube yet. But basically, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take the pain away and whatever," and then he like pushes the egg, and then he just fades to black, and then he's underwater with his elephant octopus thing, and then they just start swimming. It's all pitch black, and then it's going up, and then they go into the moon. Yeah, and then it fades to black. What a horrible ending. I'm gonna explain a couple things that could soften this blow, like I've said twice already, third time this time. One of the interpretations that a YouTube comment said was, I wish I could shout them out. You search up endings and you go and find the one video that kind of touches on it, or it's like explained. You can see the comments, but basically, huge shout out to these two people. One explains that he kind of interprets it as a living organism and of a like an entity that is very powerful, and he just gets summoned by it, and everyone in the hotel is like, blood cells and immune system. All the workers are doing their job. Front desk would be kind of like the brain. My inputs would be, and the entity itself wants this person's main character to take it out, just end the pain, and he achieves it. That's why everyone acts normal, like nothing's happening, because they are part of this organism. The second one, which is better, is just like how it's critiquing the world, like the cooking staff and the chef. It's critiquing how like I said, how our hierarchy works in the real world, and basically that's about it. It's just that. The third one is just a guy that said this is literally just sperm cells. So you can choose any of those. I'm gonna go with sperm cells. Just a mini haha joke. Horrible movie. Doesn't make any sense. I was not expecting this at all. Huge bummer. I thought I was gonna hit a pole. Fate made me watch this movie for some reason. If I have anything else, I'll probably drop it down in the comments below. If you have any interpretations and you watch this movie, you can also drop it down below. But don't watch this movie, please. Please just don't watch this movie. I heard very good things about the main character. He kind of seems familiar. I don't remember him. But he's a really good actor. But yeah, that's about it. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.